the Birth to Five Illinois YouTube channel. Thank you, Maggie. And so for our Spanish speakers, if we have any Spanish speakers that need this translated in Spanish, as we go along, we do have Spanish translation available this evening. So we will pause for a second now for anyone who would like to participate in Spanish to listen for those instructions.
So I will just go ahead and say, if anyone would like to switch over to the Spanish channel, if you go to the bottom of your screen, there is a button that should say live transcription, I believe. And if you click on it, you can toggle over to the Spanish channel. So you'll be able to hear Alicia translate the meeting content into Spanish. So go ahead and do that now. Thank you.
All right. And so as Maggie said, if you'd like closed captioning, you can click on that live transcript button at the bottom of your screen. We do apologize in advance for any errors that could occur in the translation, as some of it is being provided by Zoom. The closed captioning is being provided by Zoom. So sometimes it doesn't work as well. And sometimes there are errors in translating from English to Spanish. And so just wanted to give a heads up about that, and we do apologize in advance if that does occur tonight. We did change our format from a town hall to do a live webinar and to use this format so that we could ensure the highest quality experience for all attendees, to make sure that we have time to answer questions, as all of the questions that have come in as folks registered, and then also any questions that come up during the presentation itself tonight, and then also having an opportunity to answer any additional questions. So we just wanted to make sure we had that highest quality experience for all of our attendees tonight. Our goals tonight are to introduce our team, the Birth to Five Illinois team, share more about the work of the Birth to Five Action and Family Councils, and to answer questions. Some of the information shared tonight might be familiar to some of you, as we have done a lot of marketing. We had kickoffs in the first week of February. So if you attended some of those, some of this may be a repeat. So we apologize for that, but everyone, we do understand that there were some folks that were not able to attend those kickoffs. And so as we're coming back to Community Now, it's an opportunity for us to give a brief understanding of what Birth to Five Illinois, the action councils will be, and the family councils, give a little bit more additional information about those. So a lot of it is going to be new information for all attendees this evening. So just wanted to share that piece of information. And also, while the chat is open, we do ask that you, for any questions that you have that you want to submit for us to read aloud and then answered by our team, we ask that you put those into the Q&A box. So use that Q&A box for any questions that you have. You can feel free to comment, make comments in the chat, comment to each other in the chat. It's totally there for you to be able to do that. But for any questions that you have, please make sure that you use the Q&A box at the bottom of your screen. We will be answering questions tonight as they come in. First, for the ones that were submitted to us via the registration form for tonight's event. And then secondly, the ones that are submitted to us in that Q&A box. All attendees are muted right now. However, you can find the raise hand function at the bottom of your screen as well. And once our initial presentation is over, we'll answer questions submitted to us in advance, then those drop in the Q&A box, and then we will allow for live questions, time permitting. So please hold on to raising your hand until we get to that live Q&A session once we open that up after our presentation. And then finally, we have gotten some questions asking if we will be giving any certificates for tonight's event. And unfortunately, we will not be giving any certificates of any type for any CEUs or things like that for attendance during tonight's session. All right, so now that we have taken care of all of those housekeeping items, we will go into our presentation. So next slide, please. All right. So Birth to Five, our vision is basically reimagining a more equitable early childhood education and care system that ensures family and community voices centered and prioritized at every level of decision making in Illinois. Next slide. Will bring us to our mission. And our mission at Birth to Five Illinois is to create a statewide regional infrastructure that will amplify input from communities in the development of policies and funding priorities. We mobilize communities to build and sustain equitable access to inclusive, high quality early childhood services for all children and families in the state of Illinois. Next slide, which then brings us to our values and our goals. So we have 3 values and goals that we've kind of elevated that really speak to our mission and our vision. And the first one is around family voice. So through this transformation centered on authentic family and community engagement, we will address the inequitable distribution of resources and services and rebuild our state's early childhood education and care systems. And then the next one is centered around racial equity. So in an effort to move our early childhood education and care system to one where race is no longer a predictor of a child's success, we plan to address barriers that have limited access to those high quality services for minoritized children in every corner of our state. And then finally, around collective impact, which is a big piece of this work. And so Birth to Five Illinois will build a system that harnesses knowledge directly from families and mobilizes decision makers to ensure new and or expanded services are created to meet community needs and directly influence policy, funding at the local, the regional, and the state levels. Next slide, please. All right. So here's our team, and I did this again. I forgot to introduce myself, but I'll do it here. So we have Cicely Fleming, who is our state director, who oversees our entire department. And then my name is Sonia Clark. I am the director of operations at Birth to Five Illinois. We have Dina Chapman, who is our family and community engagement manager. We have David Kiedros, who is our family and community engagement coordinator. We have Jess Scheinflug, who is our project coordinator. Maggie Kohler, who is our communications manager, and Angela Hubbard, who is our grants and relationships manager. Joining me on the call tonight are Maggie Kohler, Dina Chapman, and Angela Hubbard. And one thing to note, you don't see the rest of our team here is because we've kind of split ourselves in 2. And so we are running 2 of these events concurrently. So you are currently with our Regions for 9 and 11, and the rest of our team is doing another webinar at this exact same time. So that's why you don't see those team members on this call with us this evening, because they are leading the other session that is happening at the same time. Next slide, please. Also, part of our team are our area coordinators, who are really serving as our boots on the ground, because our team can't possibly be in all parts of the state. And so we have area coordinators who are out there spreading awareness, letting people know of opportunities that are available, and then just also making sure that we have our face in front of those stakeholder groups that we're trying to elicit to become members of the Action Council. So for for Area 1, we have Karen Nunnally. For Area 2, we have Diana Murdian. For Area 3, we have Jackie Jones. For Area 4, we have Dana David, and Dana David is actually your area coordinator. She covers, her area includes regions 9 and 11. And so we will post her information in case you want to reach out to her after this presentation is done. She's available to answer additional questions as well. For Area 5, we have Kim Hunt, and for Area 6, we have Lori Longbill. Next slide, please. So what is Birth to 5 Illinois? So in partnership with the state of Illinois and with the Illinois Network of Child Care Resource and Referral Agencies, better known as INCRA, we have launched Birth to 5 Illinois, which has really been tasked with creating Birth to 5 action councils and family councils in each of the 39 regions in Illinois, currently excluding the city of Chicago. However, we are working with Every Child Ready Chicago to host virtual kickoff events for the city of Chicago, and we have those planned for April 6th. And in order to maximize the impact and collaboration with Every Child Ready Chicago, they will expand their membership to serve as the actual Birth to 5 Action Council for the city of Chicago. So we are working very closely with them on alignment to where they will serve as the actual Action Council for the city of Chicago. And we are also working with them to establish the Family Council in the city of Chicago as well. And so these councils will share geographic boundaries with the Illinois State Board of Education's regional offices of education, or the ROEs, but we do operate independently. So we share the geography of those 39 regions, but we do operate outside of their purview. And so the boundaries are really the only thing that we share with the ROEs as far as our structure is concerned. There are several really important goals for this work. And the first one is to support local residents as they come together to address early childhood needs within their own communities. And then also to make sure that the state's policies and funding priorities actually match the needs of each region, and making sure that we are prioritizing those voices of families, providers, and communities, because we know historically we have not done a great job of that. And so it has been mostly that top-down approach, and we're trying to flip that and make it more of that bottom-up approach where families, providers, and community members are actually driving that decision-making. And then thirdly, we want to provide equitable access to those high quality early childhood services for all children. And so we are welcoming people with a range of experiences, including those that may be new to this type of work. We also understand that historically, everyone has not had opportunities to lend their voice to policymaking and decision-making within their communities. And so this is an opportunity for those that are new, that want to lend their voice and have that desire to do so, to be able to do that. We are in the process of hiring our regional action council managers in each of those 39 regions, the 38 regions, the 39th region being the city of Chicago, which we will post that particular position after that kickoff that is scheduled for April 6th. That position for the Chicago regional manager will get posted. But all of these managers have the same purview, where they will oversee the formation and ongoing operations of the regional councils, including hiring additional staff. Our idea is to make sure that these regional offices are staffed with a regional manager, also a regional family and community engagement specialist, and then also an admin or a data position for each of these regions. So once we get the regional manager hired, they will hire for their additional staff. And then once we get that regional manager in place, we will also work to start standing up those action councils and the family councils in those regions. And so now I believe it is time for me to turn it over So we can go to the next slide, and I will hand it over to my colleague, the dynamic Dina Chapman, who will be talking about actually serving on your Birth to 5 Action Council.
Thank you, Sonia. Good evening, everyone. This is Dina Chapman. Can you hear me? Okay, wonderful. I am the Family and Community Engagement Manager for Birth to 5 Illinois, and it is my pleasure to be with you this evening to bring you more information about the Birth to 5 Action Councils and the Birth to 5 Family Councils. So let's start with the action councils. So we are looking to seat approximately 15 people on the Action Council. And as mentioned earlier this evening, we are hoping to have a variety of different kinds of folks in leadership roles for the Action Council with varying experiences that are including but not limited to what you see here on this screen. We'll just read that for you. We're looking for parents and family members, community members from underrepresented populations, local early childhood or education collaboration members, Head Start or Child Care Center staff, family child care staff. We're looking for early educators and home visitors and early intervention providers, staff from the Regional Office of Education, local school district staff like board members and superintendent staff. We're looking to see local or county elected officials, healthcare employees, higher ed employees, child care research and referral coordinated and intake staff, business representatives like from the Chamber of Commerce, members of the faith community, and anyone else that's not been mentioned is welcome to participate in the Action Council as well. Next slide, please. So basically for the Birth to 5 Action Council, these folks will be driving the leadership and providing direction and vision for the Action Council. Their roles and responsibilities include identifying gaps within the region, amplifying family voice, working with the local coalitions and communicating with the community, collaborating with the state team, conducting a regional scan, which is otherwise known as a needs assessment, and creating an annual report. Next slide, please. So these are the requirements and commitments for people that are interested in joining the Action Councils. You must live, work, or receive early childhood services in the region. Understand that this is a volunteer leadership role. You're expected to participate in meetings approximately twice a month, and you're asked to make a 1-year commitment, and then you'll have the option of signing up for year 2 if you're interested. 2 seats on the Action Council will be reserved for family members. Those family members will be able to receive a stipend for being on the Action Council. Next slide, please. Okay, so now I'm going to talk a little bit about the Family Council. True transformation can only happen with authentic parent engagement, which will happen through the Birth to 5 Family Councils. In addition to the Birth to 5 Action Council, which will include parent and family representation, each region will also be encouraged to stand up a family council. So to ensure that families, especially those from priority populations, are engaged and are participating in helping to shape the system. These are the requirements for the Family Council. We're looking for families with children under the age of 8 and or experience with Illinois early childhood education and care services. And like the Action Council, we're looking to seat around 15 people for the Family Council. Next slide, please. As part of the Birth to 5 Family Council, parents and family members will have the chance to make a big impact for children and families in their communities. So the role of the Family Council is to serve as an advisory committee to the Action Council. We're looking for people that are able to share critical input and give feedback, and to advocate for family needs, to help identify gaps in the region, and able to raise issues of concern from within the community. Next slide, please. So we're looking, again, just like the Action Council, we would like to have a wide range of voices on the Family Council that include families that live across the region, especially in areas that have been underserved, families that represent the racial diversity of the region, and families with at least one child under the age of 8, including those who have used early childhood services and those who have not. In terms of the commitment, again, we're asking everyone to participate in approximately 2 meetings per month and commit to 1 year to serve on the Family Council with the option of signing up for a second year. So we do have a new flyer for the Family Council out now. We're going to drop that link in the chat box. This is an opportunity to help to get the word out about the Family Council. There's a QR code at the bottom. So if you could share that with your networks, post it on your social media platforms, we would be very grateful for that support. Okay, so now we're going to transition, and I'm going to pass it over to my teammate. She's so awesome, Angela.
Thank you, Dina. Good evening, everyone. I'm Angela Hubbard. I am the Grants and Relationship Manager for Birth to 5 Illinois. So I'm the person that you'll be contacting if you have any questions about the funding that will be available very shortly. I'm going to talk to you a little bit about how we're structuring the Action Councils and Family Councils to partner with community collaborations, and also next steps on how you can get involved. The Birth to 5 and Family Councils are meant to be complementary to local collaborations. They're not meant to replace them or duplicate work. We are hoping that they will help build capacity where possible and share information about future planning overall. Our goal is to make the work that local collaborations are doing easier by setting up a new governance and funding model for early childhood education and care statewide. And we're really looking at trying to do that with this by centering the needs of young children and their families. We're looking to align our efforts. Our leadership is already engaged in conversations with people who do this work at a regional level. So if there are collaborations that are already doing that work at the regional level where you are, we are having conversations with them right now. And in that regional scan that Dina mentioned, we're hoping that they'll also look to identify gaps and barriers and identify the expansion needs that they have. And as you can hear, we're looking at new and innovative ways of engaging families, because we are trying to make sure that those families and providers who've been historically left out are an integral part of this system. It's our hope that the Birth to 5 Illinois structure is seen as part of a community system, and that it's an additional early childhood education and care advocate. Finally, as I mentioned, there is going to be a $1 million funding opportunity that we're hoping to launch this spring. Local collaborations will be able to access that funding with the opportunity for renewals for up to an additional 2 years. So more information will be coming out about that as it becomes available. And as I said, I'll be your contact for that if you have any questions. Next slide, please. And now on to how to get involved. Dina mentioned the Action Council, the Birth to 5 Action Council, and the Family Councils. Both will be community driven. We are providing the infrastructure and support to ensure that there's equitable representation on both councils created within each region. And we're ready to stand up these councils as soon as the community is ready. We are looking at right now for these regions, Region 40 had 4 interest forms come in for the Action Council. Region 41 had 7 so far, 9 has had 4, and Region 11 has had 3 come in. We've had none come in for the Family Council, so we really do need to get that information out there because we know there are people who would be a wonderful addition to those councils. You can complete an interest form either for your region's Birth to 5 Action Council or the Family Council. They're all available in English, Spanish, and Polish on our website. And you can also visit our entire website for all of this information, which is also available in those languages of English, Spanish, and Polish. And we encourage you to visit our frequently asked questions. We update them continuously, and they have all of the answers to the many questions that were submitted to our team during our virtual regional kickoff events back in February. Next slide, please. If anyone is interested in applying for any of the positions that were mentioned, we are, as Sonia said, hiring 39 regional action council managers, 1 for every region across the state. Again, that position for Chicago will be posted near that April 6th kickoff event. And we're also looking for a data strategist to join our state team and support the data needs of the regional action councils. You can subscribe to the Birth to 5 email communications to stay in the loop. I highly encourage it because information comes out fairly frequently. And you can also connect with us on social media. The links to our social platforms can be found on the bottom of our website, as well as at the bottom of all of our email communications. Next slide, please. That concludes our presentation for this evening. We're now going to transition into the question and answer portion of tonight's event. And we'll begin by answering any questions that were submitted to us in advance of tonight's session. I will hand it back over to our extraordinary Family and Community Engagement Manager, Dina Chapman, to lead us through the questions.
Thank you, Angela.
You're welcome.
Okay, so first let me say this. We've received several questions about child development, early childhood educator compensation, child care assistance, data, and program funding. What we need you to know is that these questions are not within our purview. And so we would encourage you to visit Illinois Cares for Kids, which is the state's early childhood consumer education website. And when you go there, you can check to see if your questions might be answered or if there's a link available to you. So we have dropped that link in the chat below. We did not have any questions come in for the regions that we're serving this evening. So I'm just going to talk with you a little bit about some of the frequently asked questions that have been posted on our website. One question that comes up is, what are the deliverables of the Birth to 5 Action and Family Councils? In year 1, the councils will be working on connecting and reconnecting families to services as they were utilized pre-pandemic. Per the state's directive, Birth to 5 Action Councils will deliver a full regional scan. We talked about this a little bit earlier. This is also known as a needs assessment of the early childhood education and care service landscape, and that will be delivered by December of 2022. This report will be generated with the support of Illinois Action for Children. Okay, the next question is, what is the state of Illinois already doing to encourage parents to take their young children to enroll in early childhood programs? So the state is currently running a statewide early childhood awareness and enrollment campaign that focuses on family and community engagement strategies that promote the importance of early learning and the availability of early childhood programs and supports to families. That campaign is expected to launch this month. As part of these efforts, Illinois Cares for Kids, which we mentioned earlier, is inviting all families to join Ready for K, which is a free research-based text messaging program for families with kids ages 0 to 11. And families can expect to receive 3 texts per week with fun facts and tips on ways to help your children learn and grow. Illinois families are welcome to sign up now. There is a link being dropped in the chat box below. And then finally, this question is often asked, what's the time frame to stand up these birth to 5 councils? That is, when can we expect to see the implementation of this work? Well, the birth to 5 is providing a statewide infrastructure, staffing, and framework for communities on the regional level. So councils will be developed based on community interests, not a state timeline. This is why it's important for, if you're interested, to fill out either the interest form for the Action Council or for the Family Council. So we will move to formalize the Action and Family Councils when the staffing positions have been filled and diverse community members are interested in being on either the Action Council or the Family Council. Okay, so now we are going to transition to questions that have been submitted to us in the Q&A box below since the start of tonight's event. And who's handling that piece? None other than our magnificent Maggie.
Thank you so much, Dina. And everyone, thanks so much for being here with us tonight. We have a couple questions in the Q&A box thus far. And as we mentioned, we're going to go ahead and read those aloud and answer them. In the meantime, if anyone has any additional questions that have come up during the presentation or come up as we're talking, please feel free to just go down to the Q&A at the bottom of your screen and go ahead and type in your question, and then we'll read them aloud so that we can answer them for you. So the first question is, if you qualify for both councils, Action and Family, would you be able to serve on one for the 1 to 2 year commitment and then apply to serve on the other council?
So that is actually a really good question. That's a really good question. And we, so first I'll say we know that folks wear many hats, right? And so we have professionals that are also parents. And so what we have consistently said is that go where your passion leads you. So if your passion leads you and you're very passionate about making sure about that family voice piece and lifting up family voice and making sure that what families need in your community is communicated and translated really well, then go to that action, that family council. If your desire is as a professional or from one of the stakeholder groups, so you're really passionate about, early childhood, a specific service, if you're in Head Start, if you're in home visiting, if you're an early intervention person, and you really want to make sure that your feedback is garnered there, then by all means join that Action Council. So that's what we're telling folks, to go where your passion leads us. It would not preclude you, for example, if you served on, say you were selected for the Family Council, and after your term there, there was an opportunity to apply on the Action Council for one of your many other roles that you may play in your community, you can definitely feel free to fill out that application for the Action Council as well. We need all of the voices, we need all of those champions with all of those various interests and feedback and experience and expertise. We welcome that on the councils.
I wanted to add something to that, Sonia.
Mm-hmm.
I was just going to say the other thing that you would want to consider is group dynamics. And so if you've spent a year working, in the boots on the ground, and you've gelled with this group, or whether it's the Action Council or the Family Council, you might not want to shift your focus and your energy and all of that to a different council. Sometimes it takes a little bit longer for groups to gel. Sometimes it doesn't. And then, you know, you just have to consider the work that you've done with that group, what your expertise and your experience and your voice has meant to that group. And so that's something to consider as well too.
Thank you for that addition.
Great, thank you both. I think this question is kind of similar. Did I hear correctly that 2 spots on the Action Council are reserved for parents?
That is correct.
Fantastic. All right, this is another good question. If I've applied for a staffing position, should I wait to fill out an interest form for the Action Council?
Yes, so if you have, we are asking folks to really fill out, you know, if you're interested in a position, then, you know, fill out that application for the position. We are, all of the applicants that we have received thus far, our HR department is working actually this week to kind of start to go through and filter. We were given more of an opportunity to get the word out more, to do a few of these community engagement webinars to make sure that folks were aware of positions that were available, aware that there was interest forms out there to be completed. And so, you know, we are now starting to like look at applications and see where they are. We have been getting applications pretty sporadically across the state. So in some regions, we may only have one or two applicants. Some regions we have 0 applicants. Some regions we may have 9 or 10 applicants. So it's really kind of been coming in sporadic, but our HR department has started this week to go through to kind of figure out like where we have more of those applicants, and they'll start to do that screening process. If you submitted an application, you should have gotten a note from HR just verifying that they did receive your application. So if you did not receive an email from our HR department, you know, first check your spam because maybe it went there. But if you did not, then you there's no confirmation that they received your application. And so they are doing that, starting that review of applications and setting up screenings, which is our first process. They do a phone screen. So they are in the process of doing that actually this week.
Fantastic, thank you. Another really interesting question. Will Birth to 5 Illinois be replacing Preschool for All expansion and prevention initiative funding?
No, we are not replacing any funding, any programmatic funding or anything like that. All of our funding for our work comes from the COVID relief dollars that have been put into our state. And so our funding has, you know, doesn't impact programmatic funding. So we will, that's a no for that question.
And then a sort of follow up to that, another question was, are we connected with the Illinois State Board of Education?
So we are connected to all of the state departments, so connected with the Illinois State Board of Education, or ISB. We are connected to DHS, and we are connected to the Early Childhood Transformation Team. And so all of the state agencies we have a connection to, and everybody has their scope of work that they are working on and that they are responsible for. But yes, we are connected and collaborating with all of the state agencies.
Thank you, Sonia. So there are currently no other questions in the Q&A. No immediate pressure to anyone. Just wanting to flag that box is open for folks to enter more questions, or if anyone would be more comfortable, you can go to the bottom of your screen and raise your hand. And if you'd like to come off mute and answer a question we can answer live, we'd be happy to do that as well.
So while we're waiting to see if there are any additional questions, I just wanted to reiterate that for regions 9 and 11, we have only received a total of 7 interest forms for the Action Council. We have received no interest forms for the family councils. So I just wanted to reiterate that we are going where the interest is. So once we have staff hired and once we have interest in the community, that is when we will stand up those councils. So please spread the word for any colleagues or family members that you think might be interested. Share our information as far as our website is concerned, so that we can get more interest garnered in your areas.
Thank you. All right, we have another question in the box. How can we get the word out to families and educators? So I'll go ahead.
Ooh.
You want to go? You go first.
So again, because I'm the Family and Community Engagement Manager and working in tandem with my awesome partner, David, who's on another webinar this evening, we've got an outreach plan in effect right now. So we have been working with the area coordinators and trying to capitalize on the great work that they've done on the ground and getting interest out there for both the Action Council and the Family Council. We're also looking to connect with collabs and go into communities and talk to school districts and collabs. Again, we have our flyer that's out there now. We can point you in that direction. I know it's been dropped in the chat box earlier. We're meeting with all the state agencies and all of our partners and getting their networks. And we're also partnering with parent groups like the Family Advocacy Committee of the Governor's Office of Early Childhood Development to tap into all of their resources and their networks to help get the word out. And so if you didn't hear your name mentioned in any of that, and if you're interested, please drop your information in the chat box, and David or I will definitely get in touch with you. As Sonia mentioned, there's no interest now from families currently from these two regions that we are providing webinar information on tonight, but we definitely want and need family voice. And so don't be afraid to jump in. The water's safe. We need you families. We really do.
Thank you, Dina. I'm going to add, as your area coordinator, I would love to see you reach out to me. I'm happy to answer any questions. We can set up a phone call, a Zoom, whatever you're comfortable with, and I am happy to give you more information moving forward.
Awesome. Thanks, Dana. And then as the communications person, I'll just chime in and say that our website, if you look through the chat box tonight, is just full of information about what we're up to. There are flyers to download from there. Again, frequently asked questions, information about our jobs, our interest forms. So really driving folks to the website, I think, would be a really good resource. Our site is available in English, Spanish, and Polish. And then additionally, the links we put in the chat earlier, sign up for our newsletter. We're sending out emails to the field at least probably once a week with updates about new information and resources. And so I think just, looping in and being able to pass the information that we're sharing out to the families and educators in your networks would be great. Someone also asked, perfect, are you working with the Illinois AEYC? Yeah, so great question. We are, and actually we did an event last week where, again, Illinois AEYC raised their hand and said, they really want to partner with us. They'd love to connect with Dina, and they really want to make sure that they're getting the information out to their family child care network so that they're looped into the opportunity. All right, just flagging again that we just have no questions in the box just currently. I will just add that one additional frequently asked question that we got numerous times was about the data on our website and the data that was shared in our February kickoff events for anyone who was able to come, why it was outdated. And so just to clarify that the Illinois Early Childhood Asset Map data is usually released by state agencies, and then it's able to be accessed and visualized by ICAM. And likewise, ICAM is typically pulling census data after the year releases. And so unfortunately, we're still at a point in time where we can't collect up to the minute data about our early childhood slots or attendance and services. And a lot of stuff has obviously been impacted by COVID, but we're still, looking at data that was a little pre-pandemic. So this is the reason why we need action councils, really and truly, so that we can help make sense of the data and really give, localized context. For example, if we're looking at the number of childcare centers in a region, there might be centers that have opened or closed that aren't reflected in the data, but any of you who live there really know, that that's the case and can flag that so that that data is more nuanced. So just wanted to share that with everyone. That was one other frequently asked question that we've been getting. And I will just go ahead and put in the chat the data links on our website where we have region specific data for all of the 39 regions in the state. All right, so with that, we currently don't have any other questions. I think maybe we'll just pause a beat and see if anyone else wants to raise their hand or submit anything into the box.
And while we're waiting on that, Armand, if you could just bring up the other slide, just as our last two slides. So just as a recap and a reminder on ways that you can get involved, we currently have our interest forms for both the Action Council and the Family Council out on our website. And I also forgot to mention the newly released Selection Committee interest forms were just released this week. So let's talk a little bit, it gives me an opportunity to talk a little bit about the Selection Committee. So for each one of those regions, we are looking for folks that are not interested in one of the positions, not interested for whatever reason, maybe the time constraint as far as sitting on the Action Council, but they want to lend their voice, they want to have, they want to participate in some type of way. We are looking to have a selection committee in each one of the regions, and that's going to be about 3 to 5 people that will actually review all of the Action Council interest forms and those Family Council interest forms, and they will use an equity matrix that we have developed to kind of score those interest forms, and then make the selections for the actual Action Council and the Family Council in each one of those regions. So that Selection Committee interest form is out now, and so folks that may be interested in that, if you're not interested in a position or interested on the Family Council, but you want to participate in some type of way, those are available and out now. We anticipate that that commitment would be about 2 to 3 weeks to review those interest forms and then kind of score and use that matrix to determine placement on either the Action or the Family Council. So those are out and available now. And so just wanted to make sure we flag that. And then also, again, here's our website, which just has a wealth of information. Again, don't forget to sign up for and subscribe so that you can continue to get be kept in the loop on everything that's happening. I think we send emails out probably every week to give updates on what's going on and what's happening with our department. So please don't forget to subscribe so you can continue to get those updates on a regular basis. And then also, if you can't, if you don't think of a question now and something comes up, right after we close out this session, you can feel free. Again, Dana is available to answer questions. We also have our info@birth2five email that you can send questions to, and then also just check out our frequently asked questions. We have received a lot of questions from our February kickoff. And so every question that we received there, we've answered and put in that FAQ. And so we're always looking for, new opportunities to grow our FAQ. Pretty much every question that we get that is within our scope of work, we add to that FAQ page. And so it continues to grow on a daily basis. So feel free, even after this session is over, if you want more information, like Dana said, she is available to answer questions. If you have a group that you'd like for her to speak to, she is available for that as well. And next slide, I believe, is the end. Okay. All right. Well, that concludes our presentation for tonight. So thank you for taking time out of your day to attend this community engagement live webinar for Regions 9 and 11, and for all your thoughtful questions and your feedback and your insight. We really appreciate it and value your feedback and your insight. So thank you so much again, and enjoy the rest of your evening if there aren't any additional questions. All right. Good night.